Hello, Kyber. Hi. What was I even saying there? Hello.
High low.
Hello, Kyber K Productions family. Happy to see you all. See as Naval Night Vision, Duran, and we see Van, our fearless leader, in the comments. And here tonight with me is Graveyard, filling in for Arctic Scala, Van as we call him as well.
Yes.
How are you tonight?
Good. I think I have to say something I don't think I've said in 5 months.
What's that?
Hello, cavers, dwellers, and splunkers.
Oh, it's been so long. Van is
Yes.
finishing up at a con. He has
hmm
been doing lots of cons lately. So, Mezzo either hosts alone or with a good friend who knows our guests pretty well. So, we thought, like, why not have him join if he's available? So yes, I'm very glad. I've had a good week. Well, okay, it's a good. It's been a long and challenging week, but I'm feeling in better spirits than I was. There's just a couple things I need to resolve in life in general, but perseverance and pushing through is kind of like what I try to do. So I
what
hope.
it's amazing is I'm here
Yes.
and we're not giving away a lightsaber. I think this is the
Oh
first
gosh,
time
yeah, it's the first
ever.
time. Usually when Graveyard's on, Van is at a con and we had just finished like getting enough subs for a
Mhm.
lightsaber giveaway, and this is the first week and I don't first show and I don't know how long the Graveyard's on that we're not doing that tonight. We
So
just did
weird.
one last week. So but hey, y'all, if you're looking to like win a lightsaber and you haven't won one, tell people about the channel and then have them sub and then we'll do another one every 100 subscribers. So, um
Yes.
anyway, so moving forward. Before we do nerdy news, we want to tell people what's coming out tomorrow.
We do. We'll give a little hint.
Ooh.
It's spooky season, and I am graveyard. I have to do spooky things, and Retro Alcove is back starting tomorrow, 7:15 p.m. Central. Mezzo is playing a game where she helps to find herself with help of a beer in the chair.
I like it. Yes. Graveyard and I recorded a spoopy game playthrough, and we
hmm
haven't finished the game yet, so there will be more to come. You'll even see some fun shorts on the channel after the video releases. The Graveheader already got to see one of them, where I basically tell him to shush.
hmm I imagine the other one's going to be you screaming at a certain point.
In several points.
Yes.
But moving on, first is our nerd of the news, and I'm not gonna sing it how Van sings it. Um, yes, and Graveyard Archaeologist said we got 10 new friends this weekend. I did see that, so thank
Awesome.
you very much. Today, on the first thing on our nerdy news is an exclusive look inside the Star Wars Bestiary Volume 1 Creatures of the Galaxy. This is really cool. So, to give you an idea, an official guide to all things Star Wars creatures is released, and you can take a peek at some of the art in this book, in this article that I just posted in the chat, and it's also in the description below if you're
hmm
watching the upload. With author S.T. Bend and illustrator Iris Compiet at the helm of this creation, you won't be disappointed with the awesome art and abundant creature information. And this article has an interview with the both of them, so make sure to check that out. That was also on StarWars.com, as you can see in the chat being displayed on the screen there. Next on our nerdy news is all you gamer fans out there, if you did not know about it, Netflix has an animated Tomb Raider show. It has been renewed for a second season. This show is based off of the game Legend of Lara Croft, and the main character is voiced by no other than Haley Atwell. Don't recognize the
Yes.
name? She played Peggy Carter, aka Captain Carter, in the MCU. She's Captain America's sweetheart. And she's been in so many other things, but that's like probably something she's the most famous for. So I'm actually did not know this was a show that was happening, and I'm actually
hmm
like, I'm gonna start watching this week. Like I'm gonna go watch the first season, and maybe even convince my husband to watch it. And also not nerdy news related specifically, but if you guys haven't been watching it, Agatha All Along, which is the second in a trilogy for the WandaVision like storyline.
hmm
Agatha All Along is so good. This last episode they had this last week had some of the best writing and acting and like story structure that I've seen in a very long time in something. And it's only in it's like less than half an hour in a sense too. It's like it's a fun, crazy thrill ride. And if you have seen it, and want to see some really cool detailed breakdown, Eric Voss did a really awesome breakdown on New Rockstars, uh, how story structure is laid out and everything. It's really interesting. So if you haven't seen that show yet, please watch it. And if you haven't seen WandaVision, watch that first, because that explains a lot. It's kind of like if you want to, I know it's a bit much, but WandaVision, then Multiverse of Madness, and which is not completely required, but
No, yeah.
at least WandaVision first, but then Agatha all along, and then the third part in the trilogy is going to be something with White Vision. We don't know all the details on that, but that is they haven't really revealed much about that. But so that is it on your nerdy news. Thank you for tuning in on the nerdy news.
I'm excited for the bestiary just because I remember one coming out in the 90s before all the other episodes 1 through 3 and then 7 through 9. I wonder if this is just be now not the canon stuff that was and not have anything that was decanonized from the original one.
It kind of makes me think of like the Hogwarts version of Care for Magical Creatures book, by Newt Scamander, where he kind of like talks about all the different creatures, and this kind of feels like the Star Wars version of that, but it's not like written by someone in the Star Wars canon universe. It's written by other people in the real world. Anyway, all right. So guys, every week, James Kaiser, our producer for Flow, the show, brings us a flow that we like to premiere on our channel and feature. This week's is Cherykitty. Her link is in the description below with a little PSA kind of thing, because this is a family-friendly show, but her page is Reddit, and you must be 18 years or older and signed in to view it. So but this video is not like super risque or anything, but I just wanted to give you guys that heads up if you try to click on it and it's like, hey, this, but it's kind of a fun video. And so please enjoy Cherykitty. All right, Arctic Skull is getting after me in the comments for
I already
not
put
putting.
I put those up.
See, my dad called me during the video, and so I was like, oh no, I need to let him know that I'm not available at this moment. He's on, my dad, for those who don't know, lives out of the country in the Caribbean, and he doesn't quite clock that I'm in a show every Sunday night.
The real question is, should I do a video dressed like that and recreate it? I think so.
Yes, I agree. With
Okay.
Schmexy beard and all, with your hula hoops.
Because I can't hula with the crap, so yeah.
The beard will just draw all of our attention.
There you go.
Thank you, James Kaiser, for providing that flow of the show. If you have a Reddit account and you're 18 or older and would like to check it out, her link is in the description below. I will also put it in the chat now for all of you. Cherykitty 420, technically is her username on Reddit. Now, we have an interview coming up, sir. Would you
Mm-hmm.
like to take the helm?
Sure. This gentleman I've known for about a year and a half now, I think, and part of the team Horror Dads production. He is an actor, writer, director, and just an awesome all around guy that I'm glad to be part of Horror Dads with. Please welcome to the show the one and only Micheal Rock.
Hey,
Ooh.
thanks for the hype up.
Greetings,
That was
sir.
awesome.
Ah! Hype people up. I like getting that.
Yes.
I was telling him, I told him before you signed on, I was like, I like using the rock music. It goes with my name. So
Hey, there you
I
go.
was like, oh yeah, that's true. That kind of goes with it.
He also does play Mike Pebble, but
Mike Pebbles.
That's when he was a kid.
I think he was just made and born Mike Rock as
Anyway, go ahead, Graveyard. You take it, honey. I'll just sit back here and you let me know when to ask my questions.
Oh, of course, we got to put him on the big screen. But Mike, I mean, I've known you for a little bit now, and it's always a pleasure working with you and seeing all the great stuff that you're putting out here. So, get our audience here, tell us a little bit how you got into acting and where you came into Horror Dads.
Man, okay. So my story is kind of unique. All right. So and Graveyard, you might not know this about me. So I'm a retired U.S. Army Green Beret. I medically retired at 100% in 2014. During my retirement process, I got recruited into what I do now. Now, I work for a three-letter agency, and I help take down pedophiles using computer forensics. And so at work, I have to see like the worst of the worst, like every day. And as you can imagine, it really takes a toll on your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I was having a real hard time mentally and emotionally dealing with all that stuff. And so one day I just decided, you know what, I need to go out there and do something else. And I started running these events, basically like these endurance events and stuff like that, and taking people and helping people achieve what they didn't think was possible and stuff. And I saw that it was changing people. So that kind of balanced me out. But because of all my injuries, I couldn't do it anymore. And so I was like, well, you know what? I was kind of an actor while I was doing these events. I was becoming a different character. So I decided to get into acting. And I saw an audition for a play in a city called Virginia City, Nevada. And one of the roles was a sarcastic cop. And I was like, well, shoot, that's kind of me in real life. So let me go do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went, nailed the audition, and I actually didn't get that role. I got the male lead in that play. And I really liked it. I really liked acting. I liked the stage and, everybody looking at me and stuff like that, which is very different from who I am in real life. The real Mike Rock, I don't really like hanging out with people. I don't like groups and stuff like that. I'm very quiet, very kept to myself. But when I flipped the actor switch, it was different. And so I did that. I did a few plays, and I realized, like, well, this is taking up way too much of my personal time. So let me quit stage acting and let me try acting maybe in movies or shows or something like that. And so then I saw an audition request for the role of a mercenary. And I was like, well, I was kind of that in real life. So let me go try that.
Right.
And that's where I met my often partner and fellow horror dad, Dylan Brown. It was for his movie The Flock. I played the character Ghost, and I nailed that role. And very quickly, Dylan saw I was unlike other people that he was working with. I was always early when they called action. I was always on it, and I just had a good work ethic and easy to get along with and stuff like that. Very professional. And so when the flock wrapped, he came to me and he said, "Hey, I really liked working with you. I have this passion project that I was thinking about doing, and it's called Tahoe Joe. And it's about a Sasquatch in the Sierra Nevada mountains."
Hmm.
I was like, "Man, Bigfoot, that's kind of lame." It's like, "All right, but let me do it because it'll get me on screen." And so we filmed that, and man, I had a blast, and he did as well. It was a completely different vibe from filming the flock. You know, it was basically just a couple of bros out in the woods
Right.
having fun. You know,
Yeah.
and so it just took over from there. You know, he saw that I was real dedicated to it, and I had some great ideas. So he actually asked me if I wanted to co-direct, and so I helped co-direct Tahoe Joe 1, and then Tahoe Joe 2 later on after that, and it just took off from there. Was that
Yeah.
a long answer? I'm sorry if that was long-winded.
That's perfect.
No.
I obviously I've seen all the movies, right? I own them. They're just right outside my wall here, as well. But I mean, it's your story is working with Dylan's obviously very similar to how I started with Josh, right?
Mhm.
Josh and I are pretty close to each other too, and we have that same kind of working relationship as well, you know. And I think it's great. And I also want to touch base. Obviously you worked on Ghost. I obviously have to know all the side things you guys are doing too, but I also want to dig into the Murder of the Monster. Right, that's your latest film
Yeah,
that is coming out and it's still kind of doing the circuits right now.
yeah, yeah. So the Murder Monster. So I started my own little side production company called Willow Rock Productions,
Hmm.
and I started that with my stepdaughter Willow. She's 8, and because after I got some directing under my belt and stuff and filmmaking, I realized, hey, you know what, I really like this. And so there was a short horror movie competition in Carson City, Nevada, which is the capital of Nevada, and it was basically you make a up to a 9-minute horror movie,
Hmm.
and you had 2 weeks to do it, and so I wanted to do something with her, because she likes that stuff. She likes adventures and
Right.
playing around, having a good time. And so I decided to make that movie, and it's called My Willow,
Hmm.
and it actually won for best bad guy and audience choice. So I was like, wow, you know what? This directing thing's all right. And then so I sat back for a little while, and again, in my day-to-day job, I'm around sexual violence and abuse, and stuff like that. And I do the fun movies, with Dylan. We got Ghost and Tahoe Joe's and stuff like that. And then with Dustin Tamplin, Midnight Feature, that
Hmm.
that horror series. Um, but then I stepped back and I realized I was like, well, as a filmmaker, I actually have the power to do something and make an impact.
Right.
And domestic violence is something that happens all too often. A lot of people are scared to talk about it. A lot of filmmakers are scared to go out there and make a movie about it and bring light to it because it might not do well or people might take it wrong.
Hmm.
And I'll admit I was scared to do that, but I knew I wanted to do it. I wanted to bring a light to excuse me, to domestic violence. And so I asked one of my friends, Annie Lane, if she would be interested in starring in it. And at first I told her about it briefly. She was like, I don't know. And so we met for lunch and I went over the whole movie, how things are going to happen, play out. And she said that she wanted to do it, and I'm very proud of her for taking on that role. And it was a very hard movie to make.
Hmm.
So basically, The Murder of the Monster, it follows a woman's journey. So this woman, she's kind of down on luck in life and hasn't really become anything with herself. Doesn't have any friends. She has like one friend, no career, and she gets with this guy who's high up in the city and very powerful man.
Hmm.
Well, like most relationships in these domestic violence situations, everything starts off great, and then stuff starts to go south, and he starts to get verbally abusive and physically abusive and stuff like that. And she's terrified to go out into the world because of who he is and who she is.
Hmm.
And so what she does is she does the movie shows a self documentation of her. Also, it has a bunch of hidden cameras throughout the house. She puts all these hidden cameras to record, basically if something happens to her, hopefully the right person will find these recordings and see who this guy really is, who this monster really is. So,
Right.
Wow. Yeah,
yeah.
it's a heavy subject for sure. There's been some that that come out that some people too who have faced the domestic violence could have trouble watching it because it could be triggering in that sense. But I think it's an important subject to bring up in media because one of the most one of the most used multimedia things for communication is movies and like TV
Mhm.
and stuff, and making it in something that is mass produced that a lot of people can have access to is an important way to get the message out about domestic violence and awareness. I'm gonna shift gears a little bit and ask you a little bit about your filmmaking in general when it comes to if you can tell us a little bit about how you got started in horror filmmaking.
Well, how I got started with horror filmmaking was that's when I decided to retire from doing plays,
Okay.
and I went on Facebook. It was a Reno actors group on Facebook, and I saw that they were auditioning for a movie, and I didn't really care what kind of movie it was,
Hmm.
just a movie, and it was for Dylan Brown's movie The Flock, which is out
Ooh,
now, and so I went and auditioned for that, and it just happened to be a horror movie. And then from
nice.
there, and Dylan has his own production company called Horror Nerd Productions.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so
I
we
know
just,
about it.
yeah, yeah. And so we just continued it from there. We did Tao Joe 1, Tao Joe 2, we did Ghost, and those are all considered horror.
Hmm.
And that was it. And really horror is just fun to film.
Yeah, I imagine
Hor-
so. It seems
horror
like
is,
it's fun.
yeah,
It's a
horror is
blast.
so fun. Horror is so fun because it's like hey Bob, let's figure out this way to kill you. Let's put a bunch of
Yeah.
ground up meats and stuff on you. And, oh yeah, that's great. It's fun stuff. It's fun finding ways to kill somebody. In a movie and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I just have a blast doing it. Really.
Yeah, I remember like listening to Bruce Campbell's book "If Chins Could Kill," and he talks about the experience of making Evil Dead, and I'm like, that just sounds like so much
Hmm.
fun.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Michael here mentioned Tahoe Joe. If you want to check it out, it is in the description where you can find that. But I also posted it in the chat for you guys to check out. It as
I
well. Yes,
it's going to
Graveyard.
be number two. There may be a beard appear.
I
Say.
know, I know.
On part two, there
Woo!
might be a great cameo. That's right. Look out for that
Yes, I have no doubt.
amazing cameo.
Now, can you tell a little bit about the process in making the Tahoe Joe franchise?
Yeah. So Tao Joe, that was Dylan's little baby, right? That was his
Oh,
little passion project.
Hmm.
he's
And
had a few
so,
babies now.
yeah, yeah. So Dylan approached me, asked me to make that, and so we very quickly we just found out we worked very well with each other. So we would bounce all these ideas off each other. He had like a rough outline of stuff. And so one thing with Dylan and I is our minds are very similar, but they're just different enough to complement each other, right? So like if Dylan comes out with an idea, all of a sudden, my brain is firing. And I'm like, okay, that's a great idea. Hey, what if we do this? And I might suggest a little adjustment and it makes it even better, and vice versa. He'll do the same with me. And so we just sit there and we just talk about all this stuff, and we get our own ideas. There's stuff I had ideas with and I just went and filmed myself. Same thing with him. And we're all like, hey, check this out, see if this works. Oh my God, that fits perfectly in what we're doing. And so what we do is in a lot of our movies, we don't really have a script. We
Okay.
have like an outline and we have bullet points that we have to hit. Okay, so every time you watch me and Dylan in a movie together, know that there's no script. We know we have to sneak in the meat and potatoes somehow, and then everything else in there is just off the cuff, and we just play off each other, and because we're great buddies in real life, it's just like natural talking.
That's great because you have that good kind of bouncing off of each other back and forth when
Yeah.
it comes to writing something and when you're acting it out as well. Actually, I remember when Graveyard did work with you guys and he let me know that a lot of the scripts are just like outlines. And so when we were writing our script, I was thinking to myself, "Oh, that's so much easier. I'm just gonna throw some stuff in there, and
Yeah.
it becomes a little bit of a. It comes a little easier flow, in that sense."
Yeah.
Now you have a new film that just released last month, according to when I saw the release date, called "The Murder of the Monster." Can you tell us a
Mhm.
little bit about that movie? And if you guys want to check it out, it's on Tubi.
That's the domestic violence one that we talked
Oh,
about.
that's the one you just talked about.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
actually watched the
Yeah.
first 10 minutes of it before I could actually get there. My gosh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
You're not even paying attention
Part
to
of
me. My God.
no, just stop it. No, it's not a normal thing for me to disassociate during an interview. But I will do that at dinner where I'm like eating and then I just go like and I just look like I space out and it's not something I can completely control and I try really hard not to do that during interviews. So I do apologize. If you guys do want to check out Murder of the Monster, it is on Tubi. And I watched about 10 minutes of it. You just have to watch some ads with it and they're not even that long at all.
Yeah.
Now,
So
go ahead.
a little bit about Murder of the Monster. So when I was filming it, I saw how it was already helping people. We weren't even done filming, but
Wow.
people knew of it. And so because of that, because of the subject matter that we were covering, people were already opening up to me and some of the other actors in this movie, talking about their experiences. Sometimes for the first time,
Yeah.
admitting like stuff that's happened to them. And so that's when I realized I was like, you know what? When I'm done with this movie and I release it, even if everybody else hates it, it was still worth it because even before we were done wrapping, it already helped people out. And I have a couple reviews that I want to read.
Please do.
Now these are people that not only saw the movie, but it affected them in a way. So one is, I saw your post about Murder of the Monster and thought I should let you know as of Friday, I finally got out of the situation I was in. I'm super beat up and bruised, but I'm free. And then another one was, Mike, 3 life changing things happened to me after watching this movie. One, I became sober. I realized I couldn't face my past and the memories by drinking it away. 2, I sought therapy for dealing with the PTSD. And 3, I channeled the courage to face my monster in court.
Wow. That's amazing.
That right there is that's the best reviews I can get.
It makes
right
it
there.
worth completely making it, any
Completely worth.
difficulty that you had
Yeah.
making it, any doubts or whatever, worry about it, that kind of thing just wipes that away.
Yeah, and
That's
it
amazing.
was very hard to make. The production on it got postponed actually by about 3 months
Wow.
because while the movie isn't extremely graphic,
Hmm.
it still does have some very disturbing scenes of abuse. And after the first scene of abuse was filmed, I saw how it was affecting the actors and myself as well, because every actor that you see in this movie they're like the sweetest people ever. Like they're such nice people, such good people, and so for them to get like that, it really took a toll on them. But I asked each and every one of them if they want to continue, and if they say no, I can't do it anymore. 100%, I understand, and it would stop. Everything would end. But they wanted to go forward because they knew it was an important story to tell. So I got to give it
Wow.
up to the actors involved.
To,
Hmm.
to them.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wow, that's incredible. So aside obviously that Murder of the Monster is in its own sense a horror. Because it's not like in the typical horror genre, but it's a horrible thing that that gets discussed. When it comes to this movie and the other horror movies that you've been involved in, what's the differing aspect of production and the experience of it?
Well, the other stuff that I've been involved in with horror, like I said previously, making horror movies is fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right?
that's
Like,
definitely one I could see.
yeah, like making ghosts was really fun. That was a whole bunch of cheese in there, 80s style cheese. Now, I will tell you what Ghost, the production of Ghost, the opening scene of Ghost was absolutely amazing. Such a memorable experience because uh, a week and a half prior to filming the opening scene of Ghost, I had an emergency appendectomy.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And so the day of filming, I piled everybody in the car, and because my car was better for driving on the snow. And so we drove up into the mountains through a blizzard, and then we walked. And because a blizzard just came, we had to walk through 3 feet of snow and clear the way into these abandoned train tunnels, right? And so because I am who I am, I had to be the number one man. I had to go first. So I'm over here with this still fresh wound
Oh
from getting this
jeez.
emergency surgery, and I'm kicking through 3 feet of snow making this trail. But man, it was worth it. It was,
That's great. Yeah.
when I saw the finished product, I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. That's
I
that's
know
that's
I
a
know
that's a much different scene.
a lot of filmmakers and actors, even of like the AAA mainstream movies, they go through a lot of different, really sometimes really hard things when they're filming, and they go and see it at the premiere for the first time, going, "Okay, that looks cool. Like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was worth it." Yeah, that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
What
You've done
has?
2 movies in the snow now.
We have, yeah, yeah. And that's one thing right there, right? So with Tao Joe 2, a lot of it takes place in the snow.
Hmm.
Okay,
And
yeah, makes sense.
and the thing is, Dylan and I, we don't actually like snow. Like, dude, I freaking hate being cold. Right? I want to be inside. I want to have a blanket. I want to be drinking my cocoa. Right?
Oh my gosh, that just sounds like heaven.
It does. It does. Yeah. Um, but the thing is, we wanted to stand out. Right? So, like
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
Ghost, we wanted to stand out. So we wanted to do it through the snow, make some great scenes. And doing these train tunnels. It's a mix of train tunnels, and then when you get out of train tunnels, it's snow. It's covered in snow. It's beautiful.
Hmm.
And in Tao Joe 2, it's like, okay, so we're making a sequel to this Bigfoot movie. What can we do to really stand out? It's like, you know what? I haven't seen too many Bigfoot movies, if at all, that take place in the snow. Let's do that, right? So let's be uncomfortable for the sake of filmmaking, for the sake of standing
Yeah,
out and getting some great scenery with snow snow covered landscape and stuff like that.
Hmm.
yeah, definitely. What has been the most difficult hurdle to get over when it comes to either horror filmmaking or just even filmmaking in general that you faced?
Uh, the most difficult hurdle, I'd say, it's a hurdle, but I like the challenge. Um, it's working with no money.
Hmm.
You know, like I see movies out there, right? And I'm not going to mention any movies, but I see movies out there that have 30,000, 50,000, $100,000 budgets, and they are absolutely dog crap. It's
Yeah,
like, bro, what did you spend your money on? What the heck is this?
that
Like
makes sense. Yeah.
everything looks so fake, and like, what is going on? Like this green screen that you use, like why? You could have just gone out in the woods or something, but you used a green screen and wasted a bunch of money. And our movies, like Dylan and I's movies, each one of our movies were made for $5,000 and less.
Yeah.
You know, the most expensive movie we had, I believe, was Ghost. I think that was $4,500, something like that.
Okay.
You know,
I mean, when
murder,
you think about how, yeah, wow, gosh, and think about the $100,000 ones are just crap
yeah, yeah. Murder
when
the
you watch
Monster
it.
cost me 1,000, and that's just because of like what I paid actors
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
getting food for people and stuff like that. It's very small cast, but I still want to take care of folks. Tahoe Joe, we spent $800.
I know
Yeah,
where
and you're
that money
making
went to too.
And that's been our biggest
and
hit.
you're
Yeah,
making some great things with great content, and people have a lot
Hmm.
of fun making
yeah,
them.
yeah. So
So,
when I make movies or when I'm helping make a movie like with Dylan and stuff like that, again, we'll have the meat and potatoes of something. We'll have a rough outline of what we want to happen, but then we sit back and we think, it's like, okay, how can we do this? How can we do this on a budget, but still make it look good?
Hmm.
You know, and that's where the special forces engineer comes in with me because, like, when I was in the army, we're in the middle of nowhere, and we have to work with what we have. You
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
know, we have to work with what we have, or the mission fails. Dylan, he does stuff where he has to, do stuff with big budgets and stuff like that, and fine tune his budget and stuff. And so that's a hurdle, but it's also a pleasure because then we get to sit back. We get to sit back as filmmakers and think, man, I made that with this amount of money, and people are enjoying it, and it
Hmm.
looks pretty good. So
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Like I said, it's micro budget horror movies.
yeah,
It is something. I've been there too. It's just the engineering you have to do, the come up with this on the spot things is
yeah,
really
yeah,
makes it more authentic.
yeah. I tell you this, and it's a little spoiler alert for those who haven't seen Tao Joe 1 that are going to watch Tao Joe 1. Um, so I had a drone, and I was gonna get these amazing drone shots and stuff like that in Tao Joe 1. And then another spoiler alert, a lot of it wasn't filmed in Lake Tahoe. It was filmed on a mountain called Mount Rose.
Yeah.
Similar landscape, right? And so we're up there and we're doing this scene, and I launch my drone, and the drone goes haywire. Now I had just tested my drone out a couple hours prior. Everything was wavy
Hmm.
gravy, right? Everything was fine. But now, I guess because of like the nearby airport and like all the metal and stuff, because they have ski lifts and stuff up there, drone went haywire, was not cooperating.
Oh man.
So on the fly, we were like, okay, we're going to work this into the plot. And we did. And because of that, we got a whole nother movie.
Wow. Yeah, you can just like go with the flow, and then something else blooms from it. That's
Exactly.
that's
Exact.
pretty
Yeah. Yeah.
awesome.
That is the biggest thing as an independent filmmaker, right?
Hmm.
Don't be married to a certain idea. Be willing to be flexible.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Even like high budget TV shows and movies have had to pivot because of things unexpectedly happening. I
Exactly.
remember when Star Wars was made and Mark Hamill got in an accident and got busted up on his face and got scars from it, and they had to write it into the story.
Right.
I can't remember what it was like the beginning of, I think, number two,
Yeah.
or
It's when
I say number two, but number
it's
five,
it's
whatever.
when the Wampa attacks his face. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Hmm.
And so they
Yeah.
had to like write that in. I mean, that's just a small like pivot in a sense, but there have been so many different pivots like that that
Hmm.
even high budget things have had to make. And I feel like on a low like a lower budget, but more independent movie, I feel like that's gonna have bigger rush to it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
um,
and something I know, we haven't talked about it since that this movie came out, but what was it like playing the villain in The Summer We Died?
Spoilers. I don't know. The movie hasn't come out yet.
No.
oh, Graveyard trying to get an exclusive like sneak leak.
I,
Oh.
yeah, I can't go into all that
All
because it
right.
hasn't been released. Like we had a screening tonight for the cast,
Oh.
but it's not streaming yet. So I
Okay.
can't. Yeah, I
Okay.
can't. I can't do Dylan a disservice
Yep. Okay.
and
Understand.
but I will tell you this: I am in The Summer We Died, and if you want to see me in a completely different role, tune in.
Ooh.
So, without spoiling anything else, what do you have working in behind the scenes of stuff planning for 2025?
So I'm currently in the editing phase of another movie I want to do called The Ruck March, and that's based off of those endurance events that I used to run. So basically,
Hmm.
these endurance events that I used to run, um, I used to work for this other company as like a little side hustle to my job, and we would go out, and it's everybody that ran these events were current or former military special operations. So you had Green Berets, Navy SEALs, Rangers, stuff like that, and we would take out civilians and just make them walk long distance, but also teach them like survival skills and military history, while they had to carry like heavy sandbags and do a bunch of exercises and stuff like that. So we would just beat people into the ground. And so I wanted to do something based off of that, and so I got a bunch of people involved and a good amount of people who actually used to do those events that I used to put on. And they used to follow me, all over the country and stuff and do those events with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically that movie revolves around that, right? It follows these two girls that sign up to do this ruck march, not knowing what's going to go on. And a whole bunch of shenanigans happen. So wild, crazy shenanigans happen. It's a horror movie. It's already done filming, and I'm in the editing stages right now. So hopefully, that one will be done for like maybe mid-March or so, early to mid-March. I'll release that, and then I'm also in probably January, February. I'm gonna film my episode for season 2 of Dustin Tamplin's Midnight Feature.
Mm-hmm.
So I got that going, and the episode that I came up with, that I'm writing and directing and editing and all that jazz, it's called Here Kitty Kitty. So, and it's gonna be bonkers, and I'm excited to do it.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, and then after that, sometime in like 2026, Dylan and I are rounding out our Tao Joe series, finishing up Tao Joe 3, Concrete Wilderness. So
Concrete. Wait. Does that mean like Tahoe 3 takes place in more of a city setting?
possibly,
Oh,
yeah,
that's kind of a freaky thought. I love that though, very much.
yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, so that was going to be a blast. And then we're going to end the Tao Joe series with that. But we've also talked about some other stuff that we wanted to do as a dynamic duo.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Dynamic duo.
yeah. So we're also known as the Joe Bros.
The Joe
are.
Bros.
So, yeah,
I
so we
love that.
yeah. So we actually I actually created a website. It's at helpmejobros.com. And you can go there. You can see some fun stuff, but you could also get our merch and everything like that. And people, there's one design on there like people seem to love. It's amazing. It's like this hand drawn footprint. It just says hand drawn Joe Bros in the middle. And people love the hell out of that thing.
I have one.
You have one. You do. That's right.
The graveyard's just got all the merch.
I asked Mike for one. He's like, sure.
That's right.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah. And so so we're actually in the early talks. Hopefully this happens. I would like for it to happen, but if it doesn't, I understand, because we're both busy guys with families. We're talking about doing like a Joe Bros series.
Mm-hmm.
Like each episode, like an episodic series.
Mm-hmm.
Each episode maybe like 30 to 40 minutes of going kind of like a little mystery team, kind of like X-Files, only more handsome.
Would you be Scully or Mulder then?
You know what? I'm gonna have to be Mulder. Mulder's the guy, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Based on my past reputation, yeah, I'll have to be Mulder.
That's awesome.
All right. So what do you tell? I know about it. Tell the audience about Midnight Features, the show that came out this year. You said season 1, season 2 is in pre-production right now.
Yeah. So Midnight Feature, that was a brainchild of a fellow horror dad by the name of Dustin Tamplin. And so he wanted to make kind of like a Tales from the Crypt, but for found footage, right? So various episodes. There's 5 episodes in the first season. And so he reached out to some fellow directors and he was like, hey, would you like to do an episode? He asked me, I said, sure. And so basically he had the episode list and I picked from the episode list and I was like, all right, let me go with that. And again, he had the meat and potatoes of what he wanted, but then everything else was on the director. We want to put our own unique flair and spin into it, go for it. So I directed an episode. My girlfriend Jackie she's, bless her heart, she's been having to deal with all this movie making stuff, but she's in it too. Like because of that, she's in stuff. She's at the end of Ghost. She's in Tahoe Joe 2, stuff like that. And she's in an episode of Midnight Feature as well. So she directed an episode, and then in between each episode, there's the curator, who's played by John Potash. So he's like Dustin Tamplin's version of the Crypt Keeper. And so he goes in there and he says like a little thing that ties into what the episode is. So it's really fun. Like, I liked it. I enjoyed doing it. Me and Potash, we went out, we filmed the Crypt Keeper or the curator stuff, and that was a blast doing that. So yeah, and it's been actually a big hit. It's been a big hit on Tubi. It's been taken off. And so he wants to do season 2, and I said, hey, I'm in, man. So I already have my cast, I already have my rough outline. I have exactly what I want to do. I have certain props that I wanted that I ordered, so I'm ready to rock.
Yeah, that's awesome that Jackie's involved. As for Untitled Footage, my wife got involved in it, and so
yeah.
just because we're filming at my house, I'm like, you should just come here and do this.
Yeah, and it's great. It's great.
Well.
Yeah, it's like horror and murder. It's like it should be a family affair.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. That's great. Oh man, I would love to get actually more involved other than just like trying to write a script every now and then when I can. I am editing things for Graveyard for his stuff. I did he's getting ready to like have his Twitch going up, and he sent me the packs he wanted, and I've been editing it to get it all set up. And then the States Unknown show, I made the intro for it, and my first thought was I want to get more involved. Like, I want to get out there and do stuff, but I'm at home. This is my spot, is the computer. That's my happy place. Like talking about hot cocoa earlier, this is like where I would be drinking my hot cocoa.
Yeah.
And having a comfort thing on one page. And it's gonna sound funny, like I would totally put like a horror movie up for like a comfort movie, which sounds really strange, but I always joked with my best friend and I actually grew up watching some horror movies. Now, I haven't watched a lot of the classics because I just watched whatever she wanted to watch. A Graveyard shaking his head at me so disappointedly. Like, I've never seen any of the Nightmare on Elm Streets or the original Halloweens. Like, I haven't seen them. But I grew up watching them, and my family was like, oh, you like horror movies? I was like, they're kind of like a comedy to me most of the time. I remember going on a date with a guy to see when they remade Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I called him at the time. I was like, the bad guy fell over and he cut his leg. All I could do was bust up laughing. Because my boyfriend's like, what are you doing? I was like, he finally fell. Because that sometimes when you get the bad guys are impervious to being hurt or something. But
I understand that because I always hear a lot of women, they put on that true crime stuff, the true crime series as like their comfort shows.
Yep.
I literally have true crime podcasts on my phone that I listen to in the car.
See, there you go. And it's like, oh man, it's such a stressful day. Let me watch.
I know it's hard to describe. I fall asleep to forensic files and cold case files, because the investigation is just like something like that. It just feels familiar and something I've always been interested in. Actually, when I was in my early 20s, I was interested in being a forensic anthropologist at one point. But that just, then I realized how much schooling that involved. And I was like, I don't think I could do that. But then I ended up having kids and stuff like that, and that's just kind of what took over. But anyway, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I really enjoyed having you on. If you guys want to check out Michael Rock's movies and anything he's been involved in, we actually have 5 links in the chat that I posted and in the description, where you can find Tahoe Joe 1 and 2. You can find Murder of the Monster there, and you can find other stuff, really good stuff that you could enjoy. I'm going to actually finish watching. When you sent the links today, I actually threw it up on my screen and was watching it while I was editing for tonight's show as well. I got to say too, yes. And I really enjoy when I'm kind of like the person like, yes, music in movies is great, but when there's a scene without music, it feels so real in that sense. It almost gives a more eerie, oh no vibe, kind of like
Mhm. Yeah,
just
yeah,
feels so real to it.
yeah.
They actually made a really good choice of that. And I'm not sure if you've seen, I haven't seen it yet, but Anna Kendrick has made a movie called Woman of the Hour. And it has to do with a serial killer who was actually based on a true story. It was like on one of those match games on TV.
Mhm.
And there's a whole scene where he wanted her phone number and he comes back to her. She like gave him a fake number and he kind of figures it out. And it's that whole classic woman in a dark place alone with a very creepy guy. If you only put no music to it, and it gave me that same kind of eerie feeling when I put on Murder the Monster and like seen scenes that didn't have music, and I was like, oh, this feels so real.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Again, guys, check out the information in the description. I really appreciate you taking time out for us tonight. I hope you have a wonderful evening.
You too. Thanks for having me.
All right.
It's still hype when we're leaving. Ah, with the rock music for Mr. Rock. That's what
Yes.
oh, that was fun. Actually, it was really interesting. Was one of the reasons I had some trouble at the beginning was I didn't realize that one of my kids' like phones or something was also like bio connected to this, and I was hearing. I was like,
Oh.
"What is that?" And I was looking at my computer, couldn't find anything, and I realized suddenly what it was, and had to like text them like, "What are you doing?" And that's happened before. It happened on a Saturday morning nerd out, and I made a short of it where I was like, what the heck is going on? All right.
Trust me, I get that. I did a show a couple weeks ago. Why I was hearing myself double is because I had YouTube open as well. I'm like, I didn't realize
that's so confusing. Actually, you know what? I accidentally did that. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, I work for my church as their streaming technician, and there was this one time. So I had the stream up like on the computer at church,
that.
and I forgot to mute the tab. And so the pastor was hearing himself delayed while he was talking. It was so insane for about 3 seconds until oh no, like that panic, oh no feeling. All right. So next in our show, guys, we have Guess That Character, which is the new segment. So we were doing Guess That Saber for quite a good while. And now we have Guess That Character, which I premiered last week, and I did some easy ones for you last week. I tried to make this week's a little bit harder. So there aren't like nearly as obvious. Like you could, if you saw Jar Jar Binks outline, you might be able to spot it, But let's see. Those of you in the chat hanging out with us and Graveyard, you can even put your guess in the private chat. That's what Mr. Arctic does.
All right.
Who is
We'll say
this?
out loud.
Who is this? Who is this?
Make sure I put it in the private chat.
This? Yes, sir. Dang it. I'm making it so easy. Oh my goodness. Oh, CS Mabel thinks it's Luke.
Say Wong.
Okay. Say Wong, are you here? You gonna say something? Or Night Vision, Raph, anyone who's still here, put your guess in the chat, and you'll find out if you're correct or not.
How long do you give them?
I usually give about 10 to 15 seconds to make sure everyone puts it in. Okay, Kevin Hogan, our old family member who would give us Comic-Con reports, he says Anakin Skywalker. CS Nabel says, or Mon Mothma. Well,
Wow.
tonight's character...
Apparently. I literally got it.
Graveyard is the only one that got it. It's actually Lando Calrissian, guys. All right, so a lot of you know who Lando Calrissian is, but if you want something very short bio, otherwise known, his full name is Okay, I can't say it. Landonis Balthazar Calrissian, also known as Landa Calrissian, was a human smuggler, gambler, and entrepreneur. Yes, you have to put human in there because what is Star Wars made of? A lot of aliens. In 35 ABY, Lando helped the Resistance reunited with old friend Chewbacca, and Calrissian played one more role in the fight for galactic freedom as he brought an assembled citizens' fleet to reinforce the Resistance at the Battle of Exegol, from which the Resistance emerged victorious. So that is this character. I'm actually proud that not everybody got it. I'm all excited. I was trying to choose something that wasn't like, this is actually a photo shot from like one of those promo stills. It wasn't from the movie, so I thought it would throw people off.
The hair got it for me.
The hair got it for you. Who is this? Now, this person is holding something, but I've taken that out. Who is this? Do any of you know who this is in the Star Wars universe? No. Graveyard got it wrong.
Really?
Yeah. I'm really excited now. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I know it's so silly to get excited about something that silly. All right,
That's
everyone in
okay.
the chat, say who you think it is, and I'll reveal the answer in due time. No, very shortly, though. I'm very excited about it. Steve thinks it's Han Solo.
Mm.
Is it Han Solo? Who knows? I know, at least.
You do? Well, that's good.
Yeah, Graveyard knows it's not what he said.
I'm interested because I have reasons for thinking that, but
Oh, you have reasons for thinking it.
do have reasons for thinking
A
that.
video game character, see, as Nabel said, like it's not Cal Kestis, but it could be like something that was like a canon version, but not everybody knows who it is because it's a video game character. Star Killer. All right. Well, the answer, or would say, Kevin, do you have a guess? If you're still here, I'll count to like 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so who this is actually Balin Skull.
Okay, so my reasoning was the beard.
Yes, the beard. Okay. Oh, Kevin's like, no idea. So Balin Skull was a Force-sensitive human male mercenary lord who was a former Jedi Knight and Jedi General in the Grand Army of the Republic. He managed to survive the Great Jedi Purge, and during the New Republic era, Skull and his apprentice Shin Hati were allied with forces of Morgan Elsbeth, an industrialist and Night Sister survivor who sought the return of Grand Admiral Thrawn of the Galactic Empire. Much of this you can actually see in the TV show Disney Plus series Ahsoka. This is where this character appeared as a live action, I believe, for the first time, played by the late Ray Stevenson, who was actually like his presence in the show was amazing. I'm sad that we will not be able to see him again as Balin Skull, and I hope to continue his story, maybe in an animated series, and see where it takes us, because I was really entranced by like his story and his presence.
Oh, easily the best new character in Ahsoka.
Yeah,
Hands
I
down.
100% agree. Or Evil Santa Claus, Kevin.
I mean, I have his saber. That's if I ever was to get a full costume, it would be a Balin Skull costume. So
yep. For those who don't know, yes, Ray Stevenson, the actor who played Balin Skull, passed away unexpectedly. Gosh, I believe it was earlier this year. Not too long after Ahsoka at least premiered. I'm not 100% certain the date of his passing, but I don't think it was more than a year ago. Now I'm curious.
Ahsoka wasn't this year.
Now I have to look it up. Oh gosh, wow. It's so much further than I thought. It was a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
That just shows I'm blaming COVID. Even though it's been a while since COVID's been a really, really bad problem, I'm blaming that. Everyone's kind of like lost a year in the sense, because of COVID. All right, so I want to inform everybody that your dear host Metso here is actually going to be streaming. Acolyte was this year. Yeah, I know. I haven't seen that yet. Is going to be streaming on her own personal channel again on Twitch. Yes. And so I will be starting after mid-November. I'm just spending a good amount of time preparing things and making sure everything runs well, getting my OBS ready. So if you would like to follow me on Twitch so you can see when I go live, I am posting my link in the chat. Feel free to hit that little follow button over on Twitch. I'll be doing gaming videos. The plan is 3 days a week, 2 hours a day to start.
Oh.
So yes, I usually do. If you're curious on what games I do play, usually it's horror like Phasmophobia, stuff like that. I sometimes will do silly things like 2 Point Hospital or Sims 4 or whatever I feel the fancy of playing. Jurassic Park was something I played for a while. I actually did Jurassic World, sorry. I did Jurassic World Evolution. I do have the second one, which I haven't played yet. And I named the dinosaurs after my viewers.
Nice.
And my friend Lucius Demort was watching. And I'm like, oh no, Lucius, you died. It was a lot of fun. And I do silly things like if I was doing a charity drive every $10, I'd eat a lemon slice. Because we have a lemon tree, so I thought I'm going to put that to use. And people would use channel points to make me exercise because they're trying to be healthy and stuff like that. So please, if you like, give a follow over there. I really appreciate it. All right, so that was also the end of Guess That, Saber. Guess That, what's it called? Character.
Character.
Gosh, excuse me. That is how my day is gone. All right, well, thank you, Graveyard, for joining me this evening, filling in for Van. And thank you so much, Michael Rock, for appearing on our show. Thank you, James Kaiser, for providing the flow Cherykitty. You can find out more information on that in the description below. And now we will finish out with Talk of the Town, and we'll see you tomorrow night. When you see Retro Alcove, you'll see the both of us on Retro Alcove. All right, guys, have a good night. Talk to you later.
Bye.
I keep not getting used to this part of the stream.